Stealth is one of those gaming genres that will forever hold a special place in my heart. The very idea of infiltrating a heavily guarded area full of hostiles with only enough equipment to defend yourself and your own with, and getting away with it, gives me a kind of satisfaction only this genre can provide. And Replayability 3 is no exception. While it is in theory a World War II themed sniper game, at its core it's more of a stealth game, favoring sneaking and using the environment in your favor to mask your shots, or simply take down enemies and slip by unnoticed. The series has never been overly popular, but it has been successful enough to spawn several sequels. But how good is this particular game, and does it really deserve its own niche? Let's find out, starting of course with the basics. The game puts us behind the scope of Carl Fairburn, the main protagonist from the second game, a badass, deep voice sniper infiltrating the German occupation of Africa. In a very pleasant twist, the game takes place in 1942, 3 years before the events of Replayability 2. This means Replayability 3 serves as both as a prequel and a soft reboot of sorts, as the mechanics this time around are expanded and the story puts us far enough back so we can cover more of World War II, since the second game is taking place during the fall of Berlin, at the very tail end of the war. Carl's main mission over his journey is uncovering and destroying a secret wonder weapon project for the Germans, while also providing help to the Allied forces. And that's about it for the plot. This game is actually more gameplay centric than anything else, with the story being more flavor text, just to give you a quick explanation of why you are fighting German soldiers in Africa. The best way to describe the gameplay in this will be calling it a combination of the Metal Gear stealth system and the sandbox style of the Hitman games. Every level in this game is a big playground for you to mess around with. Although you have some very straightforward objectives, the game encourages you to explore and get out of the beaten path. There are secondary objectives that will only show up if you get near them, and in most cases, completing them can make your life easier as you move towards the main objectives. This means the missions in this game can go from 20 to 30 minutes to an hour each. And that is actually a good thing, because it gives you plenty of opportunities to improvise and take down your enemies one by one. Now, you may be wondering, how is a game about sniping going to do stealth if all the sniper rifles in the game are loud and there is no silences for them since it's World War II? Well, allow me to introduce you to the relocation system. Anytime you fire your gun or you kill an enemy soldier in front of another enemy, a sus meter will rise. This means enemies are going to grow more likely to investigate the immediate area you are in. To get rid of the sus meter, you need to move away from the area you attacked. This means enemies will lose track of you and the alert system will reset, giving you a chance to attack again, relocate, rinse and repeat. You can't afford to stay in the area for too long with the sus meter up, because if you keep attacking from there, the enemy will eventually start a combat alert, regardless if they can see you, because they have now confirmed where you are shooting from. This is really clever, because despite the stealth guards being, well, stealth guards, they are not entirely stupid. It is a game of cat and mouse, and whether the table turns against you or not depends entirely on you reacting faster than them. So this turns things into a battle of reflexes and wits. The smarter and faster will gain the advantage over the other. If you don't want to be constantly on the move, there are parts of the environment that can mask your shots. Generators, machinery, even passing planes can make enough noise to drown out your shots. This gives you a small window to take down any enemies you want without risking raising the sus meter. But you have to be fast and skillful, or things can go bad very easily. But no matter what, you do want to be constantly on the move. While the maps are big, the strategic points are set in places where you cannot rely on them forever. Sound sources only have so much range, and other elements like airplanes will only pass in specific intervals, so you eventually are going to have to move to the next part of the map, since some enemies never really leave their designated area. That is good, because this opens up one of the things I like a lot about the genre, and that is you get to improvise. I make the comparison to Metal Gear because while this game doesn't have a camo meter, it does have a visibility meter. That is your best friend when moving through the map. The more close the eye is, the more hidden you are, and the easier it is for you to slip by unnoticed. Crawling, shadows, cover, even the plants can help you hide from the enemy. This opens up opportunities for you to get out of there and hunt down enemy guards, then continue to slither through the bushes like a true predator. You can be in situations where multiple enemies are banded together and you have no noise sources or convenient sniping points to use, so what you can do instead is create a distraction to move guards from the post one by one, and then pick them off without the others being sus about anything. There is even opportunities where using dead guards can cause a chain reaction. You can kill one guard, make noise, then the guard coming to investigate will find the body of his friend and you can take him down as he investigates, then repeat the process until there's no more guards in the area. In a more risky move, if you don't have the means to separate enemy soldiers, you can actually think fast and pop bot enemies in the head before they realize what is going on. But you can't rely on one dominant strategy forever. If you rely on one spot for too long or let too many bodies pile up, enemy soldiers are going to get more and more jumpy and they will be more likely to investigate where you attacked from. One very distinctive feature I notice about this game is how it is committed to being all about stealth. You have a silenced pistol, but it only carries 16 shots, and it has to be reloaded after each shot, so the rate of fire is too slow to use reliably all the time. You have an SMG that can help you defend yourself, but the recoil is too big and the ammo is scarce, so you can't really go Rambo on the soldiers either, so trying to count down everyone will inevitably get you overrun and killed. The big idea for when you get caught and enemies engage you in combat is that you use your weapons to kill any nearby enemies shooting at you, then use that gap to slip away and relocate, allowing you to enter an evasion phase. This gives you breathing room to regroup, think of a plan B, and then try again once the alert is lifted. You can use that to your advantage if you know what you are doing. Although the game has a loadout system, there is a lot of on-site procurement for ammo and other tools for you to use in your favor. If you get your hands on explosives, you can set up traps, so when you attack and enemies go to investigate, you can leave an explosive parting gift, and this can go both for enemy patrols and also enemy vehicles and tanks. Speaking of tanks, one thing that surprised me about this game is that it has boss fights. Honest to goodness boss fights. At the end of most levels, you can run into a powerful armored tank that can one-shot you if you are not careful. You can actually use landmines or even your own rifle to hit its weak spots to blow it up from the inside. So you have to use your own weights to outsmart the tanks, much like how you do with the other enemies. It's not perfect, but much like the rest of the game, successfully pulling off a strategy, whether it was carefully planned or something you quickly put together, makes you feel really smart and clever. Because that's the charm of the stealth genre. Getting to mess with the enemy in crazy and outrageous ways, and then having a serious sense of satisfaction for actually getting away with it. But not everything is greatness in this game. There is a small share of jank that I feel it does need to be addressed. Crawling in this game can get weird at times. If you happen to have an obstacle in front of you, or if you are at a bad angle, when you try to crawl or even crouch, Carl will automatically stand up. This is especially annoying if you are using a sniper's nest. You can be prone on the ground trying to line up your shot, but Carl will suddenly stand up if his character model so much so touches a single pixel of a wall or barricade, disorienting you badly if you were looking through your scope, and that can even get you detected if it happens at a bad moment. The alert system can also create some intentionally funny moments. You can be in the middle of a gunfight with the enemy, but if you walk into an objective marker, a cutscene will start. Enemy soldiers then go from trying to kill you, to casually having a conversation about a key location or item, then once the cutscene is over, they go back to try and kill you. It's very goofy and also very dumb, but it also leaves you in a bad spot if the enemy was already zeroing in on you. I don't know if this has something to do with the stealth system or if this is a glitch, but you can be hidden behind a wall and enemies can just jump right into a combat alert, not even giving you a chance to figure out what even happened to begin with. And it's not enemy snipers, mind you. I had moments where soldiers were on the other side of a barricade going into a full combat alert on me, completely skipping the sus phase. It was weird. Thankfully, this is mitigated by the game having a manual save system. There are checkpoints, but it's not a good idea to rely on them too much, as there are big gaps between them, and if you die, you can lose quite a bit of progress. So saving often is also a valid strategy. Some could argue it saves coming, but I think personally it helps encourage experimentation without having to start the entire level all over again. But even if you get caught and you have to fight enemies, that is okay too. The open nature of the gameplay means that even making mistakes and learning from them is fun. If you get to the right strategic place, you can actually play it smart and snipe down everyone before they take you down, and then you can hunt down the remaining enemies as they scatter to try and get a counterattack on you. And you know the game encourages you to not be afraid of making mistakes, because there is no real penalization for finishing the game with or without combat alerts. True gameplay freedom where the levels are your playground to do as you please. With all the talk about playing explosion and playing things smart, even the shooting requires more than simply pointing and clicking at enemies. There are two things this franchise is famous for. The first is the sniping, hence the name. This is one of the few games that actually simulates what it is like to do long-range shooting. From maximum difficulty onwards, you have to take a lot of factors. Angle, bullet drops, distance. Simply aiming your reticle at the enemy won't cut it. You have to aim from the place you feel the bullet will drop enough to actually hit your target. This means you have to develop an eye for calculating how your shots are going to go. You have to experiment and see when the time to pull the trigger is more convenient, because when you succeed, you are treated to the second thing this game is known for, the bullet gap. Successful sniper shots are going to switch to the perspective of the bullet. You get to see not only its trajectory, but also where do they hit, and you get to see said bullets tear through your enemies in glorious, gory and brutal X-ray fashion. In what I can only describe as fantastic attention to detail, the game takes into account individual organs, bones, you name it. You will get to see said parts get exploded by these high caliber rounds. And it's not just limited to enemy soldiers. Hit an explosive at the right angle and under the right circumstances, and you get treated to a small slow-mo cinematic where you can see just how much devastation a single bullet can cause. So in general, this game is a complete stealth package. The completion system and the deep sandbox give this a lot of replayability. The bigger point is about looking for a way to mess with the guards and get away with it with minimal consequence. So if you didn't do good the first time you played, you can replay and go for a different approach altogether if you don't want to save scum. Even the completion system is good. Anything you find during one playthrough in terms of collectibles carries over for the next time you play, and those collectibles unlock nice little trinkets like different reticle designs, so you can find one you feel most comfortable with. But if you don't want to go through the campaign and just want to have some fun, the game has two survival maps where you have to fight endless waves of enemies, each getting harder than the other and only giving you enough time to scavenge for ammo and explosives to set up traps and ambushes for your enemies. It's neat and it does put your skills to the test. By the end of the day, Sniper Elite 3 is a great game. It may not be the greatest, but I think it does a fantastic job at scratching that kind of itch you can only get from playing this style of stealth sandbox. The story may be just glorified flavor text, but that's okay, because again, this is the kind of game you don't play for the story. Even with its small share of jank, I argue this game does its job really well, and that's why I am giving it a stealthy and well-deserved 8 out of 10. If you enjoy stealth games, then this game is just for you. This is a take on World War II that not many developers have done, and I appreciate how this franchise is exploring those scenarios that go beyond simply just using the fall of Berlin for the billionth time. With Sniper Elite 5 coming out at the time of this recording, you can bet I'm gonna be looking at the rest of the franchise, and maybe even other stealth games for that matter, because if there is one thing modern gaming has in spades right now, is variety. I know many people believe and feel AAA gaming is lacking a lot right now, and some even feel there is doom and gloom on the horizon, but that only happens if you limit yourself to only play games from the big companies. This is why it's important to be open to new experiences and even dealing with some minor jank, because with everything said and done, the biggest reason we are into this hobby is to have some unadulterated, good old-fashioned fun. And you never know when you are going to run into that one little hidden gem that will just hit the right spot.